Hey everyone, again, I talked to my co-founder Paco Cantero and he shared a lot of details how he actually hooks up Claude with Tana and even a local database that he created to take the best advantage of using AI with a PKM tool. I think it's mind-blowing what we can do when we integrate it with Tana, but I let Paco speak for himself. Let's dive in.
The integrations that we have done in Heptabase and Tana using MCP and all this structure and how we connect things. And the beautiful thing is the moment that you have a solid PKM system behind that is well structured, how you can, leverage AI with no limitations. And I think that that's a topic that combines everything about our approach, okay? The system.
Yeah, there was a question that I had about Tana is because obviously I saw that there's an MCP too. And can it already automatically connect and add super tags?
It's everything, man.
Yeah, well, to me, this is the moment where I leave Heptabase.
Yeah, no, because it's literally insane. I've been hooked during the weekend because this is amazing because I am using Claude to analyze the super tags that I have, how to polish them, and also combine them with the database, the private ones that I have created in SQLite to have a system that I talk naturally and do everything. Also, the refactoring of super tags, if you create a change in the hierarchy that you have created and the relation between the entities, anything, you can do anything. And now you create everything properly just using natural language. And also you can, access to any node reference. And also, by the way, when you create the entries on Tana, they get linked to the existing nodes if they exist, okay? So if I have an ICOR and I mention ICOR, then it gets linked to ICOR, okay?
By what? By the AI from Tana or?
No, in Claude. In Claude, I create and say natural, send this to Tana and it detects if I have, for instance, I have mentioned.
Okay, yeah. So you send it via Claude.
Get linked, yeah. So because I'm using Claude to use natural language so that I can perfectly interact because he takes care, thanks to the skill of filling all the fields I need. So everything is interconnected and I know that when I create a journal entry, he needs to fill in a lot of fields, okay, that I had to do manually previously. And now with the skill, it's amazing because I have everything. Because the moment that you have quick capture with Tana, you can use even voice if you want to, you capture and then you process it in using Claude and everything runs smoothly because you are getting the best out of everything. I can think on Tana because
plus the context of all the other MCPs.
Correct. And if I go to the node, my life, imagine all the questions that I can do, the alignment between goals and projects and habits. Amazing, man. And just 2 clicks to set it up and it works perfectly. You can use it in both Claude Code and Claude Chat, okay? Not in Cowork at this moment. But the thing is that it's so easy and it's amazing, man, using Claude, knowing that you got access at any moment.
Why not in Cowork?
I don't know. It doesn't work. That's what they say. I don't know what limitations there can be. But at the moment, you can only work in Tana Chat, in Claude Chat and Claude Code. And
strange.
Yeah. I didn't try it.
Well, the thing is that obviously whenever you use chat, they say you could have used Cowork. Also, it's not true because for the things.
Oh, there are limitations.
The moment I go to project or something like that and I use this, for example, using a project in Cowork, it doesn't work with all the Google Docs, right? Mm-hmm. For example, it ignores them and things like that. But whenever you use the chat, it says you could have used Cowork, click there. So to me, it's a matter of time where they merge everything together and becomes one chat.
For sure. And the thing is that because there's a huge difference, and this is something that we can talk about also in the podcast, there's a huge difference between using the AI integrated in the tool, okay? I mean, AI in Tana, it doesn't work the exact same way of using Claude, and interacting with Tana from Claude. It's totally different, okay? The outcome that you get, no matter that I have chosen Claude inside Tana when I'm talking with a node, the replies are totally different. I don't know what the heck is going on, but it's totally different and it's super enriching because Claude makes connections between things and also that you can say he gets problems and issues that you have in your current super tag ecosystem. I'm talking about more than 400 super tags. So imagine that I don't have them all here. And that was one of the missing things in Tana. I love when they created this super tag structure so that I can access my schema. But the thing is that right now with Claude, I don't care. He detects the inconsistencies, the thing, I can rename tags, I can make all the refactoring, and now something that was a super tag, now it's a value within a field in a super tag. He creates perfectly the hierarchy of tags, so you can inherit the things properly, and it gets care because he say, well, this super tag has all these fields, I can perfectly fill based on the natural language, many things, okay? So I am,
And that was
and it's
that
amazing.
was the missing thing in Heptabase, to be honest. I was playing around and workarounds and things like that. It doesn't recognize mentioning other cards. And that's very basic. And if you tell me in Tana, it even recognizes super tags and applies them and understands the custom fields and all the things there, this is crazy.
And I have done as I have my private SQLite database, I have done a table there so that the moment that I mention, I know that it can be confusing, because there are many similarities, and I want to refer just a specific node. When I mention a specific term that for me it's part of natural language, it goes to that table and links to because it got the ID, the node ID on Tana, and I guarantee that any mention that I do in natural language using a common word goes to the node that I want to, and it's amazing, man. And so easy, to do this type of, so easy for us, obviously. I'm not expecting people creating
yeah, but much easier than it was in the past. I mean, it is just
for me, impossible.
understanding how to add the MCP server in the end. Even without the SQLite, it is already useful just having access to this. To me, this is the next thing, because also meeting notes, all the things. Imagine the Zoom call that we have here, the transcript having an automation.
Well, I'm doing that. And also I told Claude that the moment that he stores something in a field, okay, I want him to be aware of that it is an outliner. So it creates perfect the different outlining bullets, So I go to any entry, man, and I perfectly see, the main highlights. And I can go back to the, I got a front end for my tool, okay? If I want to see in Markdown file with the format to read long text format instead of just those key valets. So I can perfectly combine the two approaches that I've been always fighting for, that it was the long text format versus the outlining, and having all the system perfectly synchronized, And for me, this is huge, man. It's huge and so easy because as anybody, PKM was really hard to manage everything properly with the right tools, because sometimes you need the outlining, sometimes the long text format. For me, visual wasn't something because I don't use it a lot. In fact, I almost, because for me, outlining covers 95 or even 99% of my thinking process. And also that I got the best outliner I have ever tried in my life. And with this power of AI and Claude and how it combines everything, this is huge for VC professionals, man. It's huge. It's huge. And by the way, it makes using Tana much more easier, because you can talk about your situation and you can ask Claude to create the super tag structure that you recommend, the fields and how you structure, how you make so all that object-oriented paradigm. Now it doesn't matter at all. The moment that you can create a perfectly set up on Tana by using Claude AI, that you interact, he perfectly knows a lot about Tana, man, about how everything, I don't know where the heck he gets the information. For instance,
obviously,
you can ask him about how to implement correctly the MCP server and everything. And it's, for me, that's a perfect assistant, For me, Claude, it's a perfect assistant that understands your reality, and also that the moment that you can give the context, because you say, all the context related to that is in this code, in this node, Also, you can make.
And I saw the tweet, or the X post about getting the MCP for the reader application and Readwise. This is why you're closing the gap now.
I said that the only missing link, man, the moment that we have perfectly managed inner wall and perfectly managed outer wall, and we can combine, because now Claude is in the intersection, for me, it's a triangle of amazing, it's natural language, it's context, it's outlining, it's in artificial intelligence, it's amazing. And now the other one, that's why I asked Tristan about the access to reader, man, not the highlights. And amazing, man, amazing, because right now the productivity system is pretty well consolidated. Everything is standardized, and the retrieval process is, because also something that I do, that I have created a command that it's just coach me about anything, man. And it takes into account all the things that are related to me. This is the Mind killing, and any message that I do, well, it tells me how I can improve it, the missing things that I can do. A lot of insights based on how I see the world, because now it has all the concept, because I reference to my life node, and it has absolutely everything, man, and my goals and my project, everything makes sense,
Does it connect to my mind too?
No, because my mind has a private approach to everything and doesn't have an API, and they don't expect to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't care, because I have created my mind on my tool just in milliseconds, because
Correct.
now I tell the application to extract from any article, from anything, I create a small and little excerpt, okay, or whatever insights, and I have created a dashboard of flashcards, that appear randomly. I got the serendipity there that randomly takes, and I can go through that. And it's something that it's starting to kill a lot of tools, man, that
Well, it will kill reader. That's what it will also be, because in the end, it is just a database of collection. If it already, based on what you know and what you prefer, extracts already this from the outer world, you don't need to do the highlights, because AI does it for you, but not randomly. And that's what we talked so long about already, is that the uselessness of AI inside these tools. If they are tied to the tool, usually it's less capable, because it's an API version that they have to pay for. That's why I'm using just VS Code and the pure Claude code, and not Cursor or any of these programming platforms there. It was obvious that it's working less good, but this is the way. So you created an application, a front end.
A front end,
Claude
a
code.
front end just to show the content of the database in a easier way, but it doesn't matter it matters because, obviously it's much more nicer, but anyway, I'm using.
But is it a React app, or what is it?
No, it's just in local. I use JavaScript, Python, and that's it. And it's stored in local, and I have it.
And how was the experience using Claude code doing this? Or you programmed it yourself?
No. I use Claude code, obviously, because I have no clue about Python and JavaScript, and I don't care about the syntax. That, by the way, knowing C and C++, Python is much easier. They have improved their readability and everything. And JavaScript, at the end, everything is copy and paste and improvement based on C. So the moment that you know C and the object-oriented thing, and databases, that those are my core knowledge. And for me, coding that was amazing, man. So easy. Also, I told Claude about my background and the different languages and knowledge that I have. So he started creating parallelism to better understand certain approaches. And it was, pretty nice, because I wanted to understand how tools work now, and especially right now using AI, because you can create your own tool without any problem, and it's something that I got there. Obviously, I don't dedicate a lot of time, but from time to time, the moment that I create a structure in a database is pretty easy and straightforward to tell, put it in the front end the way you consider, then I make some tweaks, and that's it, man, and I got it, And for me, it's pretty easy because everything is linked to Markdown files, so I can also use Writer, and with GitHub, everything gets perfectly synchronized in the different devices, and it works pretty smoothly, I don't want to get our people into this, but for us, it's quite pragmatic and useful, because...
I don't think it is not for our people. It is pretty straightforward, just at least the connection to Tana without a local SQLite and so on. However, this being said, that's why it becomes so interesting to have Obsidian connected to Claude, Obviously, now this looks very basic compared to Tana when you use Obsidian. But if people really want to have this local approach and so on, Claude can perfectly handle this without killing the connections and probably improving it.
But the thing is that now we have it with Tana too. So
that's the point, right? It is much more sophisticated.
No, it doesn't matter.
So what do you think after this? I'm really excited. I really love using Heptabase, and it also integrates with my Claude code. The only thing is missing that Heptabase doesn't allow me to really reference things in there. And there Tana really excels. I will over the next weeks start testing this. Obviously, I'm not blindly switching my PKM tools, and I'm also sure that Heptabase is not sleeping on that. But let me know in the comments below what you think. Are you using Tana and exactly this way as Paco described it, or are you using Heptabase in a more sophisticated way that I'm not aware of? Share it in the comments below, and I'll catch you up in the next one.